Welcome back to the Outliers Menu Podcast. Today's episode's with the founders and amazing loving couple of Kismet Bagels. We dive into their founding story of creating bagels out of their own house during COVID, to then self-funding and opening up 4 locations with a beautiful cult following in Philadelphia. Let's get into it.
You know where you are!
This is the Outliers Podcast. Let's go! When I wanted to have you guys on, at first, like, certain people on my team were like, dude, like, why are you not in a bagel store, right?
Right.
And for me, I don't see it as a competition. I see it more as a admiration. I'm inspired by you guys. I see it as, like, a collaborative effort. I think it's, like, especially in the food industry, I don't think there should be any crazy trade secrets, right? Because at the end of the day, like, the more that we learn and help each other, the better that we can serve our communities.
It's so true. I don't think there are any crazy trade secrets. I think everybody's so protective. I'm like, guys, it's just bagels. It's all about the people. It's about the passion. It's about, like, the attentiveness.
And everyone has their own brand and their own community. And when we first started, there's this big Philly food critic, Craig LeBon.
There's all these things we're saying I want to get on record.
Oh, sure, yeah.
No, it is. We're going, right? See?
Oh, we already
yeah.
Oh, we're going.
Yeah, that's why, like, I was saying too before. You guys came to the store, and I felt so bad that I was like so unhospitable.
Later.
Yeah, I was like, you guys came. I generally apologize.
No.
Because I knew, like, you guys were asking me questions about the bagel store and this, and I'm like, I need to record this. I don't want to ask them any questions.
For sure. Well, no, so we'll get into that story, but this guy, Craig LeBon, who's like the top Philly food critic in Philadelphia, and he came to our house, bought bagels when we were selling out of our home, and he was like, oh, you guys are doing another thing? We're like, yeah, you know, there's so many bagel places, and he said, there's not enough bagels per capita in Philadelphia.
That always stuck with me.
You know, and it's so true. Like, everyone has their own spot. Like, and a lot of, for bagels, especially, for the most part, especially during the week, it's like wherever's closest to you and what's convenient to, like, your work or your home or whatever. And so I feel like there's so much room for bagel places and breakfast spots and cafes, coffee shops. I mean, there's a million coffee shops. You know, everyone finds their own niche and, like, what they want to support and what they enjoy to eat. Thank you.
How sweet are you, dude?
So sweet.
This guy just kills the sweetness level, huh? The fact that you guys are...
When I say it's a gift.
Yeah. And was that, like, honestly, was that a moment that you guys were like, oh, let's go full time in this? Like, well, so let's bring it back to
All right,
COVID.
Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, because I know your guys' relationship and all of that, but I would like to just fast forward to COVID of the moment you guys were just baking bagels, right? So what is it?
Alex was an advertising salesperson. I was a professional drummer on Broadway and a real estate agent. And all 3 of those careers, when COVID hit, stopped. So we're sitting at home, and I'm like, I'm a very anxious person, naturally. What the fuck am I going to do with my time? And when I lived in Brooklyn, I lived with this guy, Andrew, and he baked bread every morning, and he taught me, and I loved it. And it was the no-knead bread recipe. It's very simple. You don't need a lot of skill. But I was paranoid like everyone else. We're going to have to make our own bread every day to survive or something. So I
really thought that. We're like, oh, for like 6 months, we're going to have to, like, survive all.
I mean, yeah, it was panic mode. I was the guy wearing 2 gloves for like a month at the grocery store. I'm washing like my apples.
And we took so many videos of this. We're like, we're going to show our kids one day. And, like, the washing of the veggies. And, like,
singing
Jolene, because that was how long it took to wash your hands.
Jolene.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's the Broadway in you, dude. Because I never sang Jolene.
No.
Actually, she came out with it.
But we're just idiots.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was baking bread every day, and we were just cooking a lot to pass the time. I would wake up. I'd make the bread that I made the dough for the night before, bake it, we'd eat breakfast, I'd clean up, then I'd pickle some onions, then I'd clean up, then we'd make lunch, clean up, and then at night we would get on a Zoom with 8 of our friends, and we'd all have the ingredients to make chicken parm and pasta, and we'd make it together. It was just fun.
Yeah.
We were just trying to pass
and it was also
time.
finally, we loved to cook and loved to do that since we were together, but we never had time, you know? We were like, finally we had time to just, like, play and have fun, and it was finally the opportunity for that.
Yeah, and so, like, 2 weeks in on a Sunday, she comes downstairs and something to the effect of, like, I just want a fucking bagel.
Yeah.
And, you know, nobody was going anywhere. Everything was closed.
Yeah.
And I just naively, confidently was just like, why don't we just make some? And we found a recipe online, and we had some Pillsbury bread flour.
Classic. It was the only flour we could find at our local grocery store. Yeah.
And we, like I said, we were filming everything back then, so we filmed the whole thing. We have on film the entirety of the first time we made bagels.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was so innocent and fun. And even at one point, you know, Alex is seasoning, and she takes everything seasoned in a bowl, and she goes, I like it on both sides, even in the hole. And, like, to this day, that's our thing. You can't see the bagel.
Cover the whole bagel with seasoning.
You'll see.
I do like you guys do top and bottom though.
Yeah, but we don't.
Yeah.
But you guys are
cover.
actually. You're actually
We
dunking
dunk it. We
the
dunk it,
bagel,
yeah.
Put them in a big Lexan of seeds, and
which takes extra time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
It takes way more love and care into
Absolutely.
doing that.
And we're cooking in convection, and you guys are doing the deck office. But so we, to go back, so we made these. We were blown away, but it was just a fun thing that we did, and then we.
But really, we have a video of us eating it. Sorry, of us taking a bite of the bagel, and it was like the perfect thing. It was like this just monumental.
So it was the first recipe.
First recipe we
that was
tried.
it.
Yeah, I mean we've changed it so much obviously since then and made our own creation. But like tasting that bagel, crunchy on the outside, fluffy in the middle. We're listening to like Bon Iver at the time, and it was like this like just beautiful moment. We're like, oh my god, these are fucking incredible.
Yeah, and we got really obsessed with it.
Yeah.
We got a little notepad, and we started tweaking and making our own recipe. Because what happened was we couldn't get more of that bread flour, and I started just Googling local flour, and I found this mill in Pennsylvania called Castle Valley Mill. It's a family-run mill in Doylestown, PA, and they had like a big banner at the top of the site, free shipping. I guess they were trying to unload product, and they only had 20 pounds of bread flour, and the minimum was 40 pounds. So I found 20 pounds of this stuff called hard whole wheat. It's like the most components of the grain that are still in it, so it can spoil. Like when you get whole wheat at the grocery store,
There's preservatives and stuff like
and
that.
then they remove like the germ and the bran, all that stuff. So we ended up taking these two flours and creating a blend, and we still use that blend to this day. So if you open up any of these bagels, you'll see brown specks in the middle. That's just something that we do.
It's a song we started with, and we really liked it, and just stuck with it.
And so many things that we've done along the way. It's like we didn't know any better, and I kind of love that.
Yes,
you just find what works for you, and it comes from an honest place. But yeah, we started giving bagels to family and friends, and they were all calling, saying how great they were. We were like, "You're being really nice, thank you." But then Alex kept talking about how horrible she felt for frontline workers, the horrible conditions fighting COVID in the hospitals. And I said, well, we're making these bagels. This is fun. Why don't you get an in a nursing department and we'll donate the bagels?
Yeah.
And then
we made a post on our neighborhood Facebook page saying, does anyone know where we can donate bagels to? And we got, a bunch of lists of different places. But then this one woman wrote, can I actually buy the bagels and you can donate the money instead? We're like, sure, cool. Okay. You want to buy our bagels? Like that? Why? Like, sure, okay. And from there, we're like, sure, we'll sell our bagels. And then all of a sudden, we had like 30 orders of different people from our neighborhood that wanted to buy
or on Facebook, on our personal Instagram.
Yep.
Just from your first post?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I remember editing it, and I was like, and I actually have screenshots. It's so crazy of all this, of like editing it, saying, if you actually want to buy the bagels, we're selling them and donating the money. We're selling, it was like $15 a dozen at first.
I think it was 10 to start.
No, I think 15, I think.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so long ago.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It's 15
Yeah.
a dozen.
What was there subconsciously? Did you know it was going to be a business,
No.
or it was legitimately like, hey, like
Zero.
all within like 3 weeks.
So this is all just like being like just trying to occupy time and just get going.
April 2020. Yeah. I'm also, by the way, as a side note, at the same time, I'm saying I've been a musician my whole life. I'm dying to have a solo career. Now I have the time to make a record. So I'm like dead set on making a record. This
like in our closet recording.
There's a video of me in between all my hanging shirts, like with headphones on, like singing. It's so silly. But I'm like, this is your thing. I will help you.
Yeah.
I'm making a record. And then within a couple weeks, I'm an early riser. She's not. She's like, can you just do it? And then I got really addicted. But yeah, it's not a business at that point, and we're just selling out of our house, raising money. It's fun.
We had literally 30 people at our house, like outside,
like our
lined up the block.
You couldn't see anybody.
Yeah.
So the people wanted an excuse to get out of their house and just pick up bagels. It was like their event of the day.
That was everyone would say that. They're like, this is my fun thing for the day.
And then what was really wild is Craig Laban, the top Philly food critic. He's been there forever for the Inquirer. He DMs us on Instagram. Said, hey, I'd like to pick up bagels. This is what I want. And actually, I remember we had only been making everything sesame and plain, and he wanted poppy bagels. So just for him, we ordered some poppy seeds and made poppy bagels. And I remember he showed up, and he knocks on the door, and we open up, and he goes, I'm here for bagels. And we're like, yeah, what's up? He goes, you're doing this out of your house? Yeah. And then he was really nice, and we gave him the bagels. We chatted for a bit, and he goes, message me when you have a legal kitchen. So we were like, okay, he wants to post about it, but he can't post about it. Okay, we need to do something about that. So that happened in conjunction with we lived in Northern Liberties, Philadelphia at the time, and the Business Improvement District, reached out to us and said, hey, we see what you're doing. We think it's awesome for the community. There's this brewery/pizza place called Urban Village, and they're about to reopen. And how would you feel about baking in a real kitchen for a day? And, you can do the same thing you're doing and raise money for charity. And I remember I said, absolutely not. I'm making this record. This is not the thing I want to be doing.
Yeah.
And then I kind of came around and I said, well, why don't we do this one thing? We'll frame it as a picture and show our grandkids one day. This is what we did during the pandemic.
Still zero plan of doing this for
It was like, hey, let me just make this as part of our story.
Right.
Because you're just like, exciting. There's being the creative spirit inside of you, just being like, oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
What happened actually is, I guess being business-minded or what have you, we thought like the day or two before we announced it for pre-orders, okay, we need a name for this thing. And so we were just racking our brains. I mean, we have lists still on our phones of all these names. My grandfather had just passed, and he's my main reason for loving bagels the way I do so passionately. We were going to call it Herbie's Bagels. And then the night before, we're laying in bed.
Yeah, and the name Kismet just popped into my head. And
it's our story, too.
Well, the name popped in my head. I was like, let's call it Kismet, because the way that we met as kids. Grandma's our best friends.
For 60 years.
And he had a crush on me when I was 5 years old. He was 9, and we disconnected for like 20 years, and then ran into each other. And I was living in LA. He just moved back to Philly. We got connected, and like 2 weeks later, I decided I was moving home to Philly.
Ran into her grandma at an event, and she basically was like, "You need to call Alex."
Yeah, and then we met up, and literally the rest is history. I moved in with him. We bought a house like 3 months later.
Put a down payment down like a month after you moved home.
And we've been married now for 5 years. Been together for 7. Right? Yeah, 5-year anniversary this year.
Almost 6.
6, yeah. And so it just felt, everyone kept saying it was so Kismet, how you guys met. And then that name just popped into my head when we were thinking of names for the business. And it was just like, this. And the way that the thing started evolving, too. The making a post and people wanting to buy it. And then Craig LeBon, I was like, this feels really Kismet. It means meant to be. And it just felt like that was the perfect name to.
Have you always been that type of person? Like, just being like in almost flow state? Or just with this specifically, and
this just
with Alex?
Honestly, this just came really easily. I know.
I think even from us too when we first met.
Yeah,
it was like I feel like it's for me at least. It started like at least 8 years ago of just being down for whatever.
Yeah, the two of us.
We both have been or I at least have been pretty open to things.
I think I have too. I think a perfect example is we met up in LA. I shit you not, we were up till 5 a.m. just talking, fully clothed, passed out. And then 3 weeks later, after talking every day, she FaceTimes me. I'm a 29-year-old guy. I'm living by myself, and this girl FaceTimes me and says, I think I want to move home. I said, okay. She said, I think I want to move in with you. And I just went, okay. We've just been down for whatever.
I thought we were insane.
But I think that just embodies our relationship. We're always like, cool, let's do it.
Let's do it, yeah.
And I think that the name really fits it perfectly. But in terms of always being free flow, I think that this relationship and this business all kind of worked in conjunction together to create that kind of vibe. I mean, we've both had other careers. I don't know that you could say we were like that prior.
And also, we always talked about wanting to do something together, too, starting a business. We had all these different ideas, children's clothing brands and, I don't know, owning, a hotel and a event space in the Bahamas or, whatever.
Yeah, just having fun, creative
starting
thoughts.
Something. But nothing ever obviously stuck, and we never, actually did it because we were busy. We were doing our jobs, and then this just happened, and then it just slowly transpired. But, yeah, we did this pop-up. We sold out of 20 dozen bagels in, one day. Yeah.
Wait, so bring it back. So you called it Kismet, and then you posted about the next day.
We're donating bagels.
Yes, and we're going to be at this specific location.
So donating money.
Donating money, sorry.
And they shared it, which ended up becoming a very crucial strategy for us. So the Instagram was just us on the story all day. And I think, again, people are stuck at home. They don't have anything to do. And it was exciting for people. Yeah. And they wanted to connect with us. We were all just kind of commiserating about what's going on, and they were interested in what we were doing. And every time we would announce an event, the place that we were collaborating with would share it. So in this case, this place, Urban Village, had thousands of followers, and they shared it, and so everybody found out who we were. And that's how we pre-sold 28 dozen bagels in one day, which blew our mind, because we'd never made more than 3 or 4 dozen in a day at that point.
And it would take us hours.
In our little KitchenAid.
5
I couldn't even imagine.
It was awful.
The 28 dozen now is it's just it's whatever.
Nothing.
Yeah, but at the time it's in your home, and you have I'm assuming a really small mixer.
We had a 5-quart mixer, and then went off for our wedding. We were terrified to use it, and we were doing everything by hand for a long time, and mixing by hand and everything. And then at one point I was like, we should just try this. Our wrists were killing us.
Yeah,
we did.
Should have seen our.
This is incredible.
I'll never forget our fridge every night. We have these glass
storing all of that.
Yeah.
These glass Pyrex, mixing bowls.
Yeah.
Each dozen would be its own little dough, saran wrapped in the bowl. We'd take all our food out, have these bowls all shoved into our fridge.
It was insane.
But so we get to the...
We sold out 27,000
We get to Urban Village on Saturday, the pop-up Sunday. So we go there to make dough, and we show up with our teaspoons, our measuring cups, all this stuff. And the head baker goes, "What the fuck is this?"
What are you guys doing?
What? He's like, "Guys, you're at a bakery. I'm going to teach you how to bake. You need to weigh things."
Yeah.
Like, we were taking yeast and putting it in a little teacup with water and
Yeah.
he's
Yes.
like, "You're doing a huge batch. You had a big camber and a shit ton of water and a big whisk."
Yeah.
So he teaches us how to weigh. He teaches us how to properly do all these different things. Yeah. We made so much dough that day. We actually have pictures of it. It was a monstrous amount of dough.
And it was blowing up
everything.
too, obviously. It was midsummer.
Just too much yeast.
Yeah,
Too much cooking time.
and it was
know
just
anything.
too long.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to time it out.
batches,
So that
we did it all at once.
we did it all at once.
Yeah, you couldn't keep up with the rolling side of things.
No. So we
No.
spent 7 hours there, and then we went and passed out on my parents' floor. I'll never forget. But the best is we show up Sunday morning. We're going to go in. We're confident. It's the two of us. Again, being super naive. We're going to bake all these bagels. Everything's going to be great. We walk in, and the owner, Tom, really nice guy, he's there already. I said, what are you doing here? What's up? He goes, "Guys, I watched you yesterday, and I was terrified for you. And so me and two of my workers are donating our time to you today to help you out at this pop-up." And Alex and I were like, "Okay."
We don't really need you, but sure, whatever.
Yourself out,
Yeah,
bro.
fine.
And at the end, we were like, "How
We would have
the
been
fuck would we have done
fucked
that
without them.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, it was brutal. I mean,
we had no idea what we were doing.
had no idea.
Yeah.
But that was such a
What aspect did they help you the most with?
The boiling, the baking pans.
We were using pizza ovens. I had never used one of those before. I didn't know what low and high fan meant.
Yes.
Silly stuff now that you
Yes.
take for granted. Of course. Remind me. Oh, I went to go take the trays out of the oven, and I go, "Where are your oven mitts?" He goes, "Bro, you're in a restaurant." I'm like, "Really?" And then I'm holding the rag, and I was so scared. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's funny though. To this day, in our kitchen, we still use these big oven mitts.
yeah.
But it's
I still have oven mitts for sure, but yes, normally
when you're moving quickly,
Yes, absolutely.
That was a very funny moment.
But you brought your grandma's oven mitt.
With the flowers,
Yeah.
just ready to go.
Looks like it was sewn.
Yeah. But man, that day
such
was
a monumental
so monumental for us because all that stuff got learned. We met this whole community. It was the first time we packaged cream cheese. We just took a bunch of Philly cream cheese.
cream cheese,
And But this guy showed up. His name is George Murphy. And everything that you see here, branding-wise, and all the other stuff we have out there, all George. So we met George. He goes, "I love what you're doing. I'm a video guy, but I love food, and I really want to get into that space. If you ever need design stuff, I'm happy to work with you just for bagels." And to this day, 4 years later, he's still our guy, and he's a huge part of our brand.
Yeah.
But all these things happened that day. The very 2 days later, we got a call from GoPuff, this huge company in Philly.
Yeah.
They were like, "We want to carry your bagels and make you the Philly bagel on our app." I'm like, "We're in our house, bro." So that happens. Then this massive grocer, DeBruno Brothers, calls and wants to carry us in all their stores in the city. These things just start happening. We start doing pop-ups every weekend with different chefs.
Yeah, huge chefs.
Getting tagged, and again, meeting all their followers. I mean, just one thing after another. And pretty quickly, we're like, okay, I think we have a business here.
At what point did you decide to go full-time on it?
A while after.
Full-time, different, but this was definitely something we wanted to do.
We were like, "Oh, this is a business now."
Yes.
At this point, when GoPuff called and DeBruno called, I think and he was in real estate, so we didn't really have a boss, so he could just do whatever
more
he
flexible.
wanted.
I was double dutying for about a year. I remember I would go bake all night and then run home, put a suit on, shower, and go show 3 houses, and then go back to the bakery.
Yeah.
But
I was still working for
a year.
2 years total, March 2020.
March 21. 1 year later.
Oh wow.
And then we moved into her parents' house. We're
Seems
jumping
like so
ahead.
much longer though. Wow. So much longer.
Yeah, so a couple months in, I became full-time pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I hired this kid, Will, this musician friend of mine, and the two of us were banging stuff out because we got a puppy. So Alex was watching the puppy.
Decided to get a puppy after all this. After we
idiots.
started the business, we're like, yeah, let's just get a puppy to just throw it in there,
But, we started getting all these wholesale offers, and that was never a thought, but we're like, sure. So it was easy enough. We were doing these different cafes and more pop-ups. And then we got invited to do this big, prestigious farmers market down the shore in Margate. Then to Bruno. And then we decided, okay, we need to move into a commissary. So July or June.
Were you doing all of this at your home?
For the first 2 months.
Okay.
We weren't in the grocery stores.
Yeah, it wasn't,
Okay.
and we were doing the pop-ups. We were baking them mostly at
their place.
At their place.
Okay.
A couple times we baked at home. But
Yeah.
we basically by June, we knew that we had DeBruno Brothers and GoPuff waiting for us. And they actually thank God, waited like 5 months till we got a legal kitchen, or our own legal kitchen, I should say. June, we moved into the basement of this hoagie shop that we really loved. They had a commissary there.
Before that, we did get a place for 2 nights.
2 nights, and we had a disagreement with.
We had a friend of a friend of a friend who connected us with a guy who had a little kitchen in South Philly, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you guys can use my space." Just like
he
just wanted to help out. Then he wanted to partner. And we were at first really excited. We're like, "Oh, this guy wants to partner with us. Like, we should like, give him half the business." Like idiots.
Yeah.
We're just like so excited that somebody wanted to be a part of what we're doing, and he was really helpful. He was a chef, like knew different ways to make cream cheese, whatever. And we did one pop up there at his kitchen, and
it was like a week.
It went well. He went bought like a small little combi oven to help with us, 2 of them, and then we were about to do another pop-up. We met the day before to be like talking about like maybe a partnership, and we're like, he totally was like trying to like swindle us. Yeah, we were like at his house, like having
we actually went to his house and he got me really drunk.
Yeah. Like,
and I remember I was like, yeah, sure,
let's go.
Alex,
and then we laughed and I was like, no, we're not fucking doing this. Like this, like we know what we're doing. We're like figuring it out. Like we don't need this guy to like take half of our fucking business.
Yeah,
like, we just started.
Yes.
And so we called him. We're like, actually, like we'd rather just rent this space. He was going to give us the space for free and take like a part of our business.
Yes.
We're like, actually, no, we'd rather just pay you for time in your kitchen. And he calls us like an hour later. I'm just like, so actually, I got like a last minute job, and you guys actually can't use the kitchen now.
How convenient!
And we had a pop up the next day, and had to make 2 days, and we had to make a bunch of bagels.
So we called this hoagie shop that we love, Liberty Kitchen.
We knew they had a little commissary,
And we said, I know you have a commissary. We would love to join. He said, well, when do you need the space? I said, tomorrow. And it worked out. It was like $100 a week or $200 a week or something crazy cheap.
Yeah.
And we were just thrilled to be there. They had a walk-in. They had a mixer. They had oven.
They have a large commissary, I think, wasn't it? No. I remember seeing like pictures of it that you guys were there. It's like wooden floors and all that, or was that later on?
No, that's our place.
Ours.
That
that's ours.
But we started there. A few other big Philly brands started there. It was a really cool incubator. And we ended up spending 5 months there. And
really hot, sweaty basement, in the summer. It was like 110
There was one night I had a hyperventilator. But about a month in, we knew that we had GoPuff, we knew we had Bruno, and we're like, okay, Alex, we're going to have to get our own kitchen. She's like, we just joined this place. What are you talking about? Like, I can see it. We're going to get all these offers. So I found this place in North Philly called Macon Studios. It's an old factory, an old textile factory, and they turned it into all these spaces. And we joined half the space. The other half was this ice cream company called Milk John. It's amazing ice cream. And we spent like 3 or 4 months building it out, and we've been in there since November 2020. We moved in, and I know we're like going on a lot of tangents, but it was really wild. It's just a big learning experience. We called all the press and like told them we're like launching this weekend in our big commissary, making it official. It's a real business.
We had about 15 to 20 accounts. We had like
a lot
the 2
of
big ones,
starting that
and
weekend,
then like a bunch of little cafes and little restaurants that wanted to carry our bagels.
We were starting all these new customers that weekend, and we didn't test any of our equipment. We didn't do any simulations or test bakes. We get in there with this brand new staff. We're so excited.
We were making I think
it was like 90 or 80 dozen.
Yeah, we're at Liberty. We're doing
a day or a weekend, like on a Saturday.
One night.
Yeah, one night. Yeah.
Okay.
Big jump for us.
Yeah, for sure.
From 50 to I think 100. It was like doubling in one night basically.
And our ovens were broken. There was something wrong. They weren't installed right.
Yeah,
and we were up for like 32 hours straight. And then after the bake, we had to take these not so great bagels and deliver them ourselves all across the city. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And it was just such a huge lesson.
And we had a whole team with us too.
Yeah.
Our whole team was there for literally 15 hours. The bagels were sticking to the parchment paper. They were raw. They were like scraping off paper.
Gross.
Like it was just so
What was the learning example though? Because you said it was a learning experience.
I think for me, one of the biggest learning experiences is like, check your shit.
Yeah.
Really make sure that you're prepared for a big step. You can't just like jump into something without any preparation. Now, I will say it's good to just try things and go for it, but you also, when you have all these people counting on you, it's not just you by yourself anymore. You've got staff, you've got all these customers that have made orders for their stores. Like, it would have made sense to go test our new oven and make sure they're working.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. Also, just to backtrack, not to jump around too much, but something that was really, really crucial to learn from that experience with that chef in his little space that didn't work out is like, when you're early on in your business growth, a lot of people are going to come at you and offer you things because they see dollar signs. I'm sure you've been through it too.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to resist being so flattered and taken with the fact that someone likes what you're doing.
Yeah.
But look what would have happened to us. We would have given away half our business before we were anybody. And I think it's just really important to like know your value yourself, and know what you're capable of. And I'm so glad we didn't do anything in that instance.
Yeah. How did you fund everything?
It's a really great question. We get asked that a lot.
And a lot of people have crazy theories. They think they're like loaded. I'm sure people feel that way. But
of course. There's like Reddit threads that are dedicated to conspiracy.
They think that we're like trust fund kids, and that like our parents, and like we have investors. We're like
marketing.
It's been us.
Wait, there's like people that are really like cream, because that's wild.
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
100%. But I think a lot of people that are trying to rationalize your success are the people that are rationalizing their own failures.
100%.
And I had to deal with that, like being second gen. So I understand that game.
Sure.
You always have this like
they can't understand how we're successful. It's like it's just been extremely hard work.
And you have this continued focus. But how did you fund the steps?
Sure. So I had some savings from my career, which are long gone now. And it wasn't that much. It was like, I don't know, $60K.
Yeah.
But it was something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we were living off of that.
We were living off of that. We used some to get started. We also owned our own house, so we took a line of credit against the house.
Yeah, I think it was like 50K.
$50,000.
Yeah.
So taking risks against yourself when you don't have any income at that point.
Yeah.
We ended up over the course of 2 years getting a small amount of money from family, probably like.
My mom bought us the walk-in.
Yeah, I think we got like $75K from friends and family.
Yeah.
You have to be proving a track record. And the only reason I'm asking that, not because of my own nosiness, it's more so because of other people like listening, right?
Yeah.
Like you guys have an inspiring story. There's a lot of people that are like baking sourdoughs at home, or cinnamon buns, or cookies, or or subs, or whatever it may be, that want to take that next step. And I think your naive confidence is what the greatest strength you guys actually end up having, right?
Yeah.
By just pushing.
We just did it.
Yeah, you gotta just go.
And,
You have to just go and believe in yourself.
Yeah, and you fail. We've failed so many times. And that's the best time we've learned from those failures.
When our ovens broke, we both went to my parents' house. I was exhausted. I was crying. I said, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I should just go get a job.
Yeah.
There's so many.
We cried a lot, and then we just got back up the next day and figured it out.
But in terms of the funding thing, I think it is really important for people to know, because it's like, whether you're lucky enough that you have a friend or a family member that can give you a small boost, or you have to do
we did a small business loan.
You can do small. No, but what's the website that everybody uses, like crowdfunding?
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
Kickstarter, like that kind of stuff. There's different ways to do it. No way is wrong. No way is right. It's just however, if you believe in yourself and you want to push and you want to get there, you're going to find a way to get
lots
the
of credit cards.
Yeah.
Lots of credit cards. We're still finally getting through it.
Still getting out of the credit card debt. We maxed every damn card out that we could. Yeah. It's just what you have to
use
do.
all of our savings.
29% interest.
Yeah.
We owned our house, and we owned one tiny little investment property that was like $100,000. We sold them both. We moved into her parents' house at 31, 32 years old for me, and lived in her childhood bedroom and had a baby while living with her parents. Yeah. Like, you do whatever you have to do to make it work. Yeah. But,
we're living off of obviously the sales and the little bit of the profits.
We were sure.
We weren't. I mean, the business was. We just kept self-funding.
We didn't take any money for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Nothing. So for 2.5 years, we had to live off of our previous funds that we had, which was not like never ending. We weren't wealthy or anything.
Yeah.
But you make it work.
Yeah.
I think it's also the major discipline you have to have too as an entrepreneur and self-funding your business is that $10 come in, 9.5 goes back in.
Oh my God.
And sometimes people don't understand what that means, and I'm assuming you guys know too, is like hiring more people, investing in better equipment, investing in infrastructure of like, hey, having intuition like you just said about being like, hey, all right, we have a good like relatively reasonable rent with this commercial kitchen, but what's the next step up so we can go to the next step?
And we definitely, I remember we got that space before we had the amount of customers and clients that would make sense for that, but we wanted to prepare for that next step. So like we definitely overextended ourselves, or like what's the word?
We didn't have any business having a 3,000 square foot.
Right. Like we definitely got a bigger space.
I feel like that also that also created the target. You had to go. You're like, all right, now we have to.
You wanted to max it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
That almost like reminds me of myself when I signed the lease that I wanted in Hoboken so bad. My parents put a second mortgage on their home.
Yeah.
And our rent was $15,000 a month.
Wow.
Which is all of my dad's stores combined.
Well, yeah, I'm
is
sure.
that one spot, and I'll never forget. It was like you have to hit a certain number.
The shop we were just at.
It's motivation.
Yes.
Wow.
It's even higher now.
Wow.
And with the rent, you have to be hitting at least 10%. Like you want your rent to be 10% or less
correct.
of your gross revenue.
Yeah.
So it was really just being like.
That's ballsy, man.
Big time, but also that's naive confidence, dude.
Of course.
Big time. Like that was like
Try it, right?
Yeah, and I remember just like having to figure that aspect out. So back to what you're saying, like having to have that commercial kitchen of 3,000 square feet.
Yeah.
It's huge. So
And we, we joined where we were sharing it with someone, so it was split for the first year and a half. But I remember when we joined, basically, if you look at our wholesale business from January 2021, we were doing like 5,000-6,000 bagels a week. By the end of 2021, we were doing over 20,000. So it pushed us in a year. I mean, quadrupled our business.
Yeah.
So, you're right. It gives you that target.
We had like, 15 people
we have
working
more room
in the kitchen.
Yeah. And it wasn't like, oh, we're just greedy. It's like, no, we need to max out this place so we can actually be profitable.
And we can afford it. Yeah.
Pay our staff more. Something that's always been really important to us is how can we continue to make things better for our staff? We don't come from this business. We all know it's a traditionally toxic business. There's a huge national phenomenon of a TV show, for Christ's sakes, that talks all about the toxicity in food business. What's there?
that show gives me anxiety, dude.
Too. First season with the tickets.
I don't know. Like I can't get into the show just because I watch it at night. It gives me, it's like this is causing me anxiety.
The season frustrated me because he became so unlikable. He becomes such a dick, toxic guy. But anyway, all of that being said, to go back, so we got in the kitchen, we ended up getting everything fixed, and then look, that was January 2021. We continued to grow. In April 2022, we decided we wanted to really be in the retail business. We wanted to be with our community more. We were doing so much wholesale, we weren't seeing people.
Well, before that, Jake was quoted in an article saying, we were never going to open up a shop. We're like, we're wholesale the way, we're doing pop-ups. It's just like such an easier business model, And then finally, like, wait, we actually hate the wholesale business. It's not what we're passionate about. We love connecting with the community. We love seeing people's faces, eating our bagels. Like, we realized we loved our pop-ups and, like, going to places, seeing people, meeting people, watching them eat our bagels, being creative. And we obviously didn't get to do that with wholesale. It was just like turn to burn.
And what is the other negative components of wholesale when it comes to like the business infrastructure? Because I agree about the interpersonal component, but the actual business side of things.
It's a really great question. I'll jump ahead because it's important. So we ended up continuing with wholesale until May of 2023, and we were doing like 15,000 bagels a week wholesale.
15?
Yeah, something like that. It was insane.
Yeah.
But what happened was around January of 2023, we owned 3 shops. We were doing all those wholesale bagels. We were in 7 farmers markets a week. We're doing huge business. We had a massive staff in our production facility. It was like 15, 17 people working 3 different shifts a day. And our bank account was going down every month. And we had never had a bookkeeper, never had any professional advice on how to run a business. We hired this bookkeeper that someone recommended to us, and within a couple months, he sent us our monthly report. And I
was finally able to organize it. We have so many different channels.
There's so many different things. You're trying
to working for different things, and it was just like
overwhelming.
No idea what's working and what's not. The bank account's going down. So
it's like, what is going on? Is someone stealing, or we lose? Like, what is happening? Is our food costs messed up?
Right, exactly.
Well, I looked at, I believe it was our April report of 2023, and I looked at Alex. I said, we're going to go out of business. And it became very clear that the biggest problem was the wholesale, and here's why. First of all, you're selling your product for a percentage of what you should be. In our case,
we were the highest wholesale bagel company.
We were charging $1.20 a bagel wholesale. Other places were charging 60 cents, 65 cents. We certainly didn't own multiple vans and have multiple drivers to hit all these places. We were in the suburbs, the city, Jersey.
You're just saying yes.
Yeah, and it was a whole
everybody. Everybody.
A whole map.
You just wanted volume.
Yes.
Volume.
Yeah, so that's what you need in wholesale for sure.
Right. So we had this company, a bread jobber, and they had 6 or 7 vans, and they would pick it all up in the middle of the night and drive it up, but they took 18% off the top. Then we had a team that we paid every night from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m., 5 people, just to bake those bagels. Never mind.
And bag them.
Right. Never mind a team in the mornings that's making dough and a separate team that's in the mornings making the bagels for the shops, like baking them plus doing like food prep and stuff. So we had all these different teams with very specialized tasks. So at the end of the day, we were losing money on the wholesale.
Yeah.
It was really draining the rest of the business because the shops were doing great. The farmers markets were insanely lucrative. So it was one of the toughest things we ever had to deal with.
We were sick to our stomach for weeks.
I couldn't sleep for like 2 weeks because we had all these people we loved.
Well, because like we have to get rid of it. You know, and drop
and it's also the foundation of your business.
Totally.
Right? So
it's how we grew.
We wouldn't be where we are so quickly without the wholesale because our name was everywhere.
We were in every shop. Like everyone was like, I see them in these big name brands, local cafes, everywhere. You know, they were very recognizable right away.
We had no choice.
So it's really more so not even your food costs, because your food costs were probably on point because of 125. It was your overhead with the drivers. 18% is ridiculous. Then and you need 5 bakers. Like that's wild because of your style
and the packaging.
Right, yes, and the packaging and the wholesale. We would have some customers that were literally, it would take them we had someone for like 100 days. They had 180 days like past due.
Only 50 grand behind.
Yeah,
and
we would have like
the accounts payable is the ridiculous
on
thing.
the street. It's like at a time.
Yeah,
you keep sending, so you never catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a big problem.
The accounts payable is ridiculous. I'm dealing with that with because we have wholesale with now I keep them on a 30-60 day now limit with like Rutgers and hospitals and stuff.
Yeah,
but I totally agree.
Are great, but it takes you're paying your staff, you're paying for your product, you're doing it all, and then you're waiting. So it's a major cash flow problem.
Yeah,
so it's like all those things in one.
We made the decision to kill our wholesale business, and we shrunk our team in our kitchen from 16 people to 5. And consolidated into one team, and they were working from like 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. or something like that.
And you became the head baker again?
Yeah, I hadn't been the head baker in a couple of years. I came back in, and that was tough too because the staff hadn't worked with me like that. It was all different people,
yeah,
and that was tough for them. It ended up being really tough, but I knew what I had.
It's tough for you too, man.
Yeah,
because you're almost feeling like you're taking one step back to go 2 steps forward.
Definitely.
But in that moment, it's like
honestly,
we had a newborn.
We had a newborn baby,
and also the adrenaline. I feel like that was one thing. Like when we first started, I mean, he literally would sleep like 2 hours at night, and so it was 20 minutes. There was one time we literally slept on the floor for 20 minutes. We baked all night, had to go work a farmer's market all day. We
fell asleep on a phone for 20 minutes. My head on the phone was a pillow.
Yeah, so I feel like we lost that like hyper adrenaline, you know.
Getting in the weeds.
Yes.
It was tough, but I took so much pride in it because I was like, this is our business.
Yeah.
Like, I will do whatever it takes to right the ship. Like, the fact that we even had an opportunity to save the business. Most people, I feel like, don't find out till it's too late and you have to close.
Oh, so your back was against the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have a son at home, too, so it's probably like,
and we felt
you're like, I'm not letting this thing fall.
We fell in love with this brand. It was so successful from the outside.
Yeah.
And we knew we had to fix it. And the other thing is we ran a bunch of different spreadsheets with different scenarios. How can we make this business formidable for the future? And we found a way. And so we knew how much staff we could have in the kitchen, what they could be paid. I had to be the head baker. Alex had to take over administrative stuff and remove somebody who was doing that. And in the end, within 2 months, we saw a huge shift in our books. So it ended up being the right call from a business standpoint. It was the hardest thing we've ever had to do from a personal level because you're looking at employees who are loyal to you.
Yeah.
You care for it.
You're letting go of
and you're like, I don't want to let you go.
Yeah.
I have to.
It was finally like our best team too in the kitchen.
So
everyone was happy. It was just an amazing.
We probably created an all-star squad though, because consolidating, you're like,
well, no, even then it was already all-star. Like it really was.
Everyone was great.
For the most, it was a couple.
Of course,
it was really our.
But it was tough.
It was.
And even within a couple months, all those people who had stayed on after the shrinking, they all left. It just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And it was hard, but it was a different business.
Yeah.
I think now we've righted the ship and we're actually in a really healthy place.
Definitely.
And we have an incredible
with our staff,
team
with our finances.
It's all very healthy and very positive, and everyone loves it. But it was a really hard period.
Yeah.
You did a bunch of different. You would obviously, so we know the wholesale you don't like, but how about the farmer's market? You have your retail locations. You have 2. How many retail locations
4.
besides Luncheonette? Is Luncheonette considered the 4th?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have 3 retail, like traditional, like Kismet retail stores.
2. One of them is a Bialy stand in the Terminal Market.
Yeah, so we have 2 shops, one in Fishtown, one in Rittenhouse in Philly, and then a Bialy stand in Reading Terminal Market, and then this newer one is Kismet Luncheonette, which is a bigger.
Out of all of those, what do you favor the most?
Honestly, probably all of them except for the Bialy stand, only because it's such a unique concept that really isn't, quote, what we do. I love the product. We love it. It's delicious. It's just not as relatable to people
I know, and when I saw it, I thought it was genius too.
Thanks.
Smart.
I
We
think
loved
it's
it.
so
So smart.
We thought it was just gonna be a home run, and it's been
Fine.
slow start, but like the Reading Terminal Market is a very specific place. It's a historic. It's one of the longest standing markets. I think it was
It's
first
the
one,
first
right?
indoor food market in the country,
In
or the oldest one.
Yeah. So there's been the same cheesesteak place, the same ice cream place for like 100 years,
yes.
you know?
The 1890s.
So people come and they want to go to the same spots. They don't really want to try the new things. But there is definitely a newer generation that is coming and trying these new places. So,
And it's been fun there.
It's been good, yeah.
We love the bagel shops. That's what we want to do moving forward.
Yeah. Definitely.
More so than the luncheonettes too.
I mean, the luncheonette basically is a bagel shop. It's just a little bit larger, has some tables, which we've never had, and it has a small lunch menu.
Yeah, we really do love the luncheonette. It's really fun to get creative. Like, we do milkshakes and with the coffee program.
It gives you an opportunity to be like passionate. It's like almost a creative outlet to get chefy.
It's in our hometown. It's 2 minutes from where I grew up. So it's very special for us.
Yeah.
But, we're even considering, like, should all the new shops just be called Kismet Bagels Luncheonette moving forward? Like, it's just...
And offer like a little more extra sandwiches or something. Yeah.
We do donuts now, which are in there.
Yeah,
I'm pumped to try those.
But I know we jumped around a little, but that's really what happened with the wholesale. And in terms of the farmers markets, we still do as many as we can. Not only is it great financially, but also it's so cool to connect with new communities.
Yes.
And then it also serves as market research if it's a location that we should maybe open a shop in, which it's really cool. I mean, it's very, very cool to see.
And it's how we started, really.
It's how we started. The Margate Farmers Market down the shore.
Let's bring it back to when you first opened up your first bagel store.
Sure, April 2022.
Okay, so how did you...
Never was going to open up a bagel shop.
Yeah, right? And then how did you go about opening up that location?
So we were doing we had this weekly pop-up location in this empty storefront in Fishtown on Frankfurt Avenue, 1405.
It literally was like an old it was a new construction, but it was completely empty. Like, no walls, nothing.
And we did pre-order bulk bagel and 8-ounce schmear pickups out of there every Sunday for like a year. And finally, it ended. We weren't able to be in there anymore. And so it was about April or May of 21. And we said, well, why don't we were really into Courage Bagels from LA. We thought the open face thing was so cool what they were doing. And we thought, we've never done anything other than just bulk bagels. Why don't we collaborate with a local place here on Frankfurt Avenue and do something called Sunday Sammy's, where it's just sandwiches on Sundays, plus, bulk bagels and stuff. But just something a little bit extra for the community that's been supporting us. So we found this wine bar called Fishtown Social. Vanessa, the owner's awesome. And she sold wine by the bottles, like a little bottle shop. She had a bar, and then she had a little kitchen in the basement. So, and I had a takeout window, too, on Frankfurt Avenue. So we launched Sunday Sammy's every Sunday for like 3 months. And we had 3 or 4 sandwiches on the menu, plus our bagels and our cream cheeses. And it was wildly successful, like right away. Like just lines. People were so thrilled. People were sitting outside eating. And we realized after a few Sundays, we're like, this is what we love. We love the interaction. We love feeding people and like creating new specials for them. Every month we changed the menu. So we did 3 or 4 menus. And it became clear pretty quickly, like, okay, this is what we should do. So we started looking for a storefront in Fishtown while we were doing that. And we found a location on Craigslist of all places.
And Fishtown is the hottest neighborhood of
Philly. It's like, and we wanted a small storefront because we were new and had no investors. Still don't. And we found this place that was wildly affordable. We couldn't believe it. It had become a bar studio, like a dance studio, right before COVID hit. So it was brand new inside, and she didn't really last. So it was just sitting there, and this couple had just bought the building maybe a month before the pandemic. So they were struggling. It was just empty. We got a crazy deal on it. We spent a few months renovating it. Plus, we had to deal with we learned after we signed the lease, this is a big lesson. Always have a lawyer look at the property and make sure there's nothing you need to know about it. There was a zoning issue, so we had to go before the neighborhood and
it wasn't sold for food. And
I was just going to ask you that.
To get an exception, it cost like $15,000 with an attorney that we didn't have, but we made it work. And it dragged out the process 3 or 4 extra months. But we signed the lease, I believe, in July or August of 21, and we opened in April of 22. And the way we went about it is Alex was a big fan of this guy, Ian Chapin, who had designed pieces and in some cases full shops around Philly. And we recruited him and hired him, and he helped design or help build out the shop.
And it's a shoebox of a shop.
Yeah, how many square feet is it?
450.
Wow.
Really small. That's a basement.
Did you have to deal with any like MEPs, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing situation?
No,
or yours
we
is
had all that. Yeah.
it had a hood and everything?
No, we don't have a hood in that shop. We have something called a turbo chef where it's like you know that.
Yeah.
So it has its own hood. But,
and we baked everything at our commissary like 10 minutes up the street in Kensington.
we still do.
Yeah.
But George, our branding guy, and Bailey, they helped us with all the color schemes and all that stuff. And then Ian built these beautiful custom pieces, the shelving, this bagel wall that we have. And we just had an awesome team. In April 2022, we opened it. We were working in the shop. You were pregnant.
Yep.
And
it was
the very
packed.
first day,
It was
line
insane.
down the block. And that was every day for like 2 weeks. And then we developed this reputation for a while that, you can't go there, there's lines. And I remember
then we started offering online ordering, which was amazing.
We were so nervous to do that.
Yeah.
But it proved to be so crucial. And
but we had no idea how to run a shop.
Yeah.
We were running like
it's the day-to-day operations of it is way different, and especially in the fast casual business, understanding like prep and step counts and efficiencies and all of that.
Go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say, I think another thing that was instrumental for us with opening that shop is we had 2 employees, Erica and Dan, that had been with us since we were in that hoagie shop basement commissary. Like they had been through it all.
They were literally making bagels with us for like $10 an hour cash, like on Venmo,
and
when we first started.
By the time we opened our shop, Erica became the shop manager of the first shop, and Dan was our director of operations for the whole business. So we had these 2 people that were very talented and very smart. Dan used to run Lego conventions, and Erica worked for a catering company and a few other things. She was so hyper-organized and such a good human, too.
Could not have done it without them.
And Erica still works for us to this day and is now our director of operations. She's the best. But we couldn't have done it alone.
Yeah.
We had a small core team that was so in it with us, and we were able to bounce ideas off each other and keep each other in check and make sure we did things the right way. And that proved to be really crucial for us. And it still is to this day, as that really helped us get started.
What did you not anticipate when you opened up the bagel store?
That's a really good question. What did we not anticipate?
Yeah, so when
well, for starters, we were still at that point, because this was before we got the bookkeeper and realized everything. We weren't thinking about necessarily what made the most business sense, but rather just what we wanted. And so there were certain things we were using product-wise that were beautiful and local. And
incredible local eggs that were like
we were paying
$90.
$65 a case of 15 dozen eggs. Yeah, but we weren't buying it. But, things like that were like,
we really wanted to do it, but it just didn't make sense, especially for a bagel shop.
Yes. And you want to keep because then you don't want to be perceived as like the super expensive spot. But then now
some the good quality.
We're not in LA. We're in
I
think at the end of the day, it was okay. Let's make sure we prioritize the quality of our bagels and our cream cheese.
Yes.
Our core.
I'm still using good products.
Yeah.
It's just not like hyper local.
Yes.
Like I learned to use like bacon that was literally made like in a farm, like right.
Yes,
we were.
Yeah, we were.
Triple C Angus, right?
And the only way to keep the doors open, you would have to charge, $15, $20 for bacon, egg, and cheese.
Well, and as it was, as I'm sure you remember, in 2022, like there was an egg issue nationwide.
Yes.
Prices were skyrocketing. Everything was.
They still are.
I know. It's fluctuating like crazy every month. But just those things we did not anticipate, and having to really learn how to look at it as a business, and of course keeping customers in mind and making sure you don't dip below the quality that you want. I think something that Alex and I really stand by, adamantly, is we don't want to serve anything that we wouldn't eat, and we still feel that way. Like, I don't want to just serve dog shit because we're a business. Like, I only want to serve what we're proud of.
I think also another thing that you guys did really well that I saw from afar was having such a tight menu.
Thank you.
You too.
Yeah, I have a tight menu.
Yeah.
I've learned over the years, but like, it's not mine's tighter than a traditional old school bagel store. I feel like you guys are like really tight, though, it seems now.
I mean, for me, I owned a bar very briefly, which I don't really talk about very often, because it was not a positive experience. But something that I learned in that bar is I had a massive menu.
Yeah.
And it was a mess.
Yeah.
You can't have 30 products.
No.
It's impossible. Now, I mean, look, some places do it, but I don't know how well they do it. But I wanted something really tight and concise. And we said early on, we were very strategic about, like, I don't want it to be a shop.
Make your own
thing.
Yeah.
People do now, obviously.
Sure,
but
yes.
at first we were like, no
substitutions.
substitution.
Yes.
But now we've been way more like
We also never,
flexible.
we never enforced it. We just wrote it.
I
But
also didn't think it was like good for our staff. We just wanted to be like, you're making the bird. This is what's on it.
Yes.
Like it making it easy for them.
we had builds.
Yeah.
You know the builds, and that's what they are. And if there's mods, fine. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we came up with a core menu of sandwiches that we felt had something for
Hit all the
everybody.
spots, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it did.
And do what we do really well, you know?
Yeah, just be proud of what we know we can do really well. And
Yeah.
that's what we offer. And if you want a typical bagel shop, there's one around the corner.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's crazy because I feel like with bagels now, we're in this like weird transitional period of the bagel industry. I feel like I don't know if it's because I'm in the bagel bubble as well as you, but like I feel like bagels are becoming more trendy than ever now.
Oh, they absolutely are. Yeah, there's a huge bagel renaissance for sure.
and I think for
they've
me-
always they've been around. But
Yeah,
now
but I feel like now people are
bagels
really
everywhere.
getting creative.
Yes, They are.
Before it used to be the deli case.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
they got wraps, people got gyros on there.
Right,
Like
yeah,
that's where my background comes from.
Right.
Is like that style of bagel store.
It's more artisanal.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
People are treating it as more than just an afterthought item.
definitely.
You know, and I think that's really beautiful to see.
And people also think bagels should be really cheap. And
Yes. But I think it's the same thing as but I think we're in the transitional period of like the pizza stage, right? Like back in the day with pizzerias,
Yeah, oh,
like
for
slice shops,
Yeah.
and then now it's like there'll be a restaurant with pizza.
Yeah.
There's a sit down with restaurant with
Definitely.
pizza, or there's a like only pies only.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's like kind of where the bagel game is headed towards.
for sure, yeah.
I do too. I love to see it.
Who are you the most when you look at different bagel stores? What bagel stores inspire you guys the most?
I mean, you guys do an incredible job.
love watching
especially
you guys.
It's really, yeah. Yeah.
I'm standing here, I'm sitting here. That's why they're saying it.
No,
I love looking at
I love Courage Bagels, what
Courage
they're doing.
Bagel.
Yeah.
Flower Moon.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of Flower
They're
Moon.
in New Orleans.
Yep.
Zach the Baker out of Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was my biggest inspiration when we started.
Really?
I had him before the pandemic, and I just loved his bubbly crust and his fermentation.
And it's so cool. We looked up to him, and then like we went to his place, and
sat with
he
him.
knew about us, and we were talking,
That's
and
awesome.
it was so cool. Yeah.
Those are some, also in Philadelphia. I love the Kettle Black. It's this French couple. They normally sell out by like 10:30 or 11. every
Literally
night.
just the two of them. They have no one else working with them.
No way.
Yeah,
But we used to go there all the time before we
Yeah.
started. I haven't been in ages, but I love their stuff.
Yeah, I feel like those are the big
Also,
ones.
I lived in Brooklyn for 7 years. I loved the Bagel Smith in Williamsburg. I also used to go to the original bagel store where that guy Scott made the rainbow bagels. They're not there anymore.
We're at Edith's in
Edith's
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
she,
Edith's.
yeah, she does a cool thing.
I used to love Murray's Bagels in the West Village.
I just love seeing people be so creative with bagels. You know?
Yes.
And like Flower Moon, they did like a crawfish bialy.
Yeah.
And like put literally like crawfish in their bialy with like cheese and stuff. Yeah, it's really cool to see the different combinations.
I feel like it's hard to like what I always end up dealing with is like I want to go super. I went through all these different stages when I opened up Hoboken. After I went to culinary school, I just wanted to like get so creative with sandwiches, and I feel like the more creative I got, the less volume
Yes.
with those
Yes,
specific sandwiches,
sure.
and then I had to go just simplify it.
I mean-
and then my top sellers like.
Everything bagel with plain cream cheese.
Yeah, or just like my bee sting.
Dude,
It's really
I was-
nothing that crazy.
Really fucking good.
Thank
I had
you.
it today. I've been dreaming about that, and I usually don't put cream cheese on like an egg sandwich. We
Yeah.
have a sandwich like that too, and I don't eat it.
Yeah.
But it was amazing.
I'm happy you enjoyed it.
The
Thank you.
flavors
I
were
Your egg and
incredible.
cheese is phenomenal.
Yeah.
More basic.
It was so fucking
How much
good.
more basic can you get? It was
Yeah.
so good. I mean,
Yeah.
people want their classics. I mean, last month we did a gochujang bagel. It was so sick. It had gochujang in the dough, garlic confit, and chopped scallions. Sick. Then we made kimchi cream cheese. We went to a local Korean place. We heard from people that it was the best kimchi in town, and it really was. We made this kimchi cream cheese, and then we made bulgogi beef in our kitchen.
wild.
Sounds banging.
Yeah.
Ridiculous fucking
Yeah.
sandwich.
Yeah.
Bombed.
Yeah, I bet.
It was.
But people that got it loved it.
Yeah,
like,
but
Yes,
that's the
but
thing.
but
yeah, but
it's
that's
such a
it's
niche.
not
You
just
have
it's
to
not-
find that. I think that's what's crazy though, is like you're trying to, especially in our industry. I feel like I don't know how you're dealing with it, because I can tell that's what you guys are like wanting to push towards.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you also still want your business to scale and
100%,
flourish. So trying to find that perfect hybrid between
Yeah.
both.
I think it's,
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, I think it's really big for obviously social. It gets people really excited, and it gets people talking about it. But yeah, it's not gonna like move the needle.
think
You
you have
know,
to
it's just exciting.
You have to
I think.
accept that it won't be
Yeah.
this huge bestseller.
Yeah.
It's just a fun thing that you do. Maybe it feeds your soul, or for the diehard regulars, they're really into it, or what have you.
You don't
But,
want to spend too much time on it. I
No,
think, you know.
I think at the end of the day, like, look, for 4 years we've been trying to figure out a ridiculous sweet cream cheese that could be our main sweet cream cheese. I came up with one in 2020 called the Golden Milk Schmear. I was really into golden milk drinks. So I took turmeric, lemon zest, candied ginger bits, and honey, and made this gorgeous yellow cream cheese. And for 3.5 years, we've had it available seasonally. And this past year, I launched it in May, like just a couple months ago. And it was like, it's golden milk time again. And the first 2 or 3 weeks, we were barely selling it, throwing so much away. I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not making it anymore.
And then people message you and they're like, "What? Where's the golden milk?"
Yeah,
It's like,
or
"That's
people
not
are like,
enough,"
and then all of a sudden you see someone selling Oreo cream cheese. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I don't want to sell that,
No.
but like somehow that sells.
That's a whole.
that-
There's that one place.
That one
There's
place
so
that we
many.
won't say.
that has the one that's
That-
over.
yes,
like,
yes.
I'm just like those sandwiches
Look
are
so
just
gross.
so
I don't know.
cookies, cream cheese,
Cheetos.
I'm like,
I'm just like,
what
sprinkles,
the fuck?
come
Yeah,
on,
and
man.
people, I think people get them. I
I don't know if they
Yeah.
do.
And maybe it's just on for Instagram. I think.
But I will also say, just to give them their flowers, like, that's their thing.
Yeah.
And that's so cool.
But I
in
think
a
they
way.
just do a good bacon, egg, and cheese. that
I'm
people
sure they
like
do,
more,
but I
yeah.
think the point is, like, there's something for everybody.
Yeah,
You know,
for
but
sure.
but in terms of what we were talking about,
Yeah.
what we're trying to do, like, I came up with this sick walnut raisin cream cheese like 2 months ago. It was so good. I thought this is going to be our staple, and nobody bought it.
Yeah.
So finally, 2 weeks ago, I finally gave in and made a strawberry cream cheese. It's selling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's a little bit different, but
Yeah.
it's close enough that it's very approachable. It's like, okay, maybe that's just
Well,
that's what people
And
want.
something we were actually talking about the other day is I feel like during COVID, people were more adventurous almost because they were like bored and they just wanted to like try new
Yes.
things. Like the cream cheese, we used to do crazy cream cheeses when we first started, and like we did a curry bagel and
Fried wontons.
Fried wontons. We did a crazy black garlic cream cheese, which I mean isn't that wild, but like we're
It is, though.
yeah,
No, it is.
sure.
Like, maybe to you, because you're
normal.
adventurous.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
You're just pushing it,
What was
pushing
our
it, pushing it.
craziest one that we did?
I mean,
the coffee cream cheese was pretty sick and pretty
did a coffee
different,
cream
with like
cheese.
actual coffee grinds in it and honey and.
we did
But those were the wildest ones. What was like the craziest one we've done? I don't know.
and we did so many.
Yeah.
I have to look back on our Instagram.
Yeah, we did like a crab rangoon one once with the pop up.
sick.
But so people I think were more adventurous almost then, and now I feel like, especially with the economy, people like want to just kind of get what they like and what they know that they like. They don't want to like venture off too much. I feel like I think that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, I feel like it's also
they don't want to be
trying
as
to
risky.
Yeah, and you got to like just feed the masses, not the classes.
Definitely.
You know.
I mean, if I look at our sales every week, plain cream cheese is the number one seller, and the next one below, it's like a good 60% below. It's just so dominant. It's
Really?
Bagel cream cheese?
You're plain cream cheese and you're number one? Wow.
So crazy.
100%. I mean, I think our veggie is our best cream cheese.
Yeah.
I love it. It's got 4 different types of bell peppers, cucumber, scallion, and carrot. It's loaded. It's our number 4 seller.
That's wild,
I mean, it's
Aaron.
just
What's our second one now? Scallion?
scallion.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But even that, it's like,
Yeah.
let's push it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a lot of scallions in it. It's like green. But
Yeah.
still,
Yeah, that's
it,
crazy.
people want what they want.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I think it's not about our favorite thing necessarily being the best seller. It's like,
Yeah.
well, we have fun with that. We're proud of it, and it's out there, and the people
Yeah.
that like it, that's great. You know?
And for a while we definitely were focusing on that a lot and spending. We had a chef that was like spending a lot of time doing that, and we're spending so much fucking money on that and R&D and spending on her.
This isn't
her,
working. It's nice, but it's not working.
Yeah, like we're having fun with this, but it's
Yeah.
not a part of the
making-
bagel game.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You can't
like
educate.
pop-ups or something.
The pop-ups
I
and
need
collabs
yeah.
still sell really well, like a one-off.
Yeah, but it's not
Great,
your like
but not sustained.
average bagel shop goer.
Even this, sorry, I know you were going to say something. I just wanted to say, like, even a month and a half or 2 ago, we got ramps, like beautiful local ramps. And we did this sauteed ramp and sauteed mushroom schmear. They're called the mush ramp. And, like, first week, it sold so well. I was like, okay, let's bring it back a second week. Dead.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's very fleeting.
Yeah.
They want their regular stuff.
That's honestly like it's funny you're saying all this because it's honestly like making me like after this I'm just gonna just yeah it's reached because I feel about the same thing and we're working on this next concept and things like that and sometimes like we're all creative spirits
Yeah.
Especially being in this game and sometimes you have to have this perfect harmony between like creativity and just being business savvy
100%.
and I feel like that's the most difficult component.
Yeah.
And sometimes you want to like be super creative, but at the same time you got to be business savvy to realize like what's sustainable, what keeps it going.
I think that's with everything. With like we were just in the beginning just having fun. It
was all fun.
Like especially with our staff, like learning all those things and then becoming business people. Like this isn't just like a fun game for all of us now. It's like if we want to,
living off of
if we want to withstand and like actually like grow and be here in 20 years. Yeah, you have to be business savvy and actually make sense for the business.
Like, save the really, really, really crazy stuff for a pop-up with someone. Like, Amanda Schulman, she owns Her Place Supper Club in Philly. She's an incredible James Beard Award nominated chef. Like, we did a pop-up with her with Bialys. We did a French onion soup Bialy. Saw the
So sick.
yeah, like
It was so
all
good.
these crazy
Yeah,
ones.
those
Lying down the block,
that
so
was
crazy. But I
insane.
guarantee you, if we had them for a week, by the third day, they wouldn't have been selling. Like,
Yeah.
it's just It's
interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
They just want to come try it and then they want to move on. You don't want to stand in line every day for that. It's not New York with
They want to be a part of like that day, that thing.
Yeah.
Then it's like,
Do you ever get teased to create another concept? Seems like you guys are so creative. Is there another concept you guys want to do?
Yes, in theory, but no. Like I want to like Kismet Confections would be a great like donut bakery shop, but like we crush bagels and cream cheese. Like why do we need to do that to
It's
ourselves?
funny. I tease donuts too. Like it would crush though.
I'd like to put some donuts in all of the shops, not just the luncheonette. I think it's awesome to have your own house-made pastries. You know, right now we make cookies, but like to go open a donut shop when we're still very young and building this brand, I think it's just a distraction.
and we want to open up more bagel shops.
Yeah,
you know, I think we know the Belly, it's been great, but it is a little bit of a distraction from the rest of the other stuff that we're doing, you know.
I think when you're looking at growth and like what do you want to do as a business, I think distractions are one of the biggest things can push you off your path. You know, you want to go somewhere a lot bigger than you are. You want to have sustainability, like continuing to create roadblocks and zags in your path. That's just going to slow you down.
Instead of just opening up more shops, and we know how to do that. You know,
we do it so well. Our team does it so well.
Yeah.
Everything fits. We know how it works.
Yeah.
We enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know,
It's almost like now you have figured out how to deal with the operations.
Right.
Like why
rock the boat?
Yeah. Just now it's almost like not a negative connotation, because I feel like copy and paste has a negative connotation, but like it's a positive thing to build out operations to get to the copy paste to open another one.
Also, it's a beautiful thing to be able to do something really well over and over again.
Yeah.
And quality be consistent.
Yeah, and servicing different communities.
Same
too.
experience for customers.
Yeah.
Like,
Where are you hoping to Kismet to be in like 5 years?
We're talking about that a lot recently. We finally have the time to talk about it. You know,
Yeah.
It's been growing, and we've all like from the beginning when we first started, we just were saying yes to everything. That's how we started the wholesale. That's how we started the pop-ups, and then started opening up shops. And finally, we're like, what do we really want to do? And
Yes.
finally, we realized that we want to open more shops.
Yeah.
that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about the franchise model. I don't think it's for us ultimately. I think we want to do it ourselves. I think every brand that we truly admire, they do it themselves. Like we're huge Jenny's ice cream fans. I'm a big Denny Meyer Shake Shack fan. Like they do it themselves. They do it in-house. And I really respect the hell out of that. I think it's obviously a lot harder, but I love that, the brand is as strong as it was when it was very small for them. I love that they're committed to their quality, their story, their experience, and I think we feel the same way. I would never want to compromise on our quality or our experience.
Yeah.
We don't want to be like a Manhattan Bagel.
Yeah. It's funny that you're saying that, because I feel like with the bagel game, no one has successfully been respected that has franchised. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Well, think about it from an operational aspect. You make dough every day, like you're probably going to have to freeze it.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have to ship it if you want it to be the same product everywhere.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you guys you make your dough in every shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the quality would immediately drop.
That's great
if you
when you
did it
guys can do that, yeah.
Yeah, that is very cool.
It's cool that we do it, but obviously I would not want to do it. I have a commissary now that we now have it sustained, but it's just really the only way it makes sense is if my old man understands the model, and he has 3 stores. I have 2.
You have 2, okay.
So
Got it.
it's like we both are. He's like, I'm like in my prime, and he's like towards retirement, but doesn't understand. Like, I don't want to make money from your stores. We just need to be utilizing your locations.
To unify the brand.
Yes, and to make sure that makes it cost effective to utilize the commissary. Because if you can't it's not that cost effective to utilize the commissary for only 2 locations.
Absolutely.
We learned that.
It's not.
Yeah.
You want to do it for at least. You want to have the more doors, the better.
Or at least.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mean to get too personal.
It's
the
all right.
plan at some point for him to pass those off to you, and then you could make the same?
I don't even know. I'm assuming so, yes, but I'm not even really looking at those.
Sure.
Honestly, and that's not.
counting on that.
Yeah, I'm the one that's opening the door by talking about these things. So for me, it's really not even something I'm looking at. I'm in a weird career transitional period that I've been in the bagel industry obviously my entire life.
Right.
Yeah.
And I worked at different restaurants, line cook, sous chef, you name it, I've done it. Like delivery driver, went to culinary school. And then now I'm in this weird position that I rejected private equity last year.
Oh, good for you.
So I'm teasing opening up a restaurant,
Don't do it.
or opening up more bagel stores.
More bagel
Like
shop.
what kind of restaurant? Like a bagel? Breakfast
I'll bleep this out, but definitely restaurant, I think.
You're going to do it?
I don't know, man.
Like, what do you mean by restaurant? Like for
Full-on restaurant.
because our Kismet spot is
Challenge?
The challenge and to tease to see if it's the bagel game that I need to continue to do
That one.
or create a restaurant group.
I mean, look, if you're always going to wonder, then you have to do it.
That's the only negative. And Bagel's not going anywhere.
No.
There's no.
That's what I was thinking about. But it's what you're saying, like, you know, I
grew up in the restaurant business. My dad had restaurants.
Yeah. So I was thinking about doing like a small in Hudson County and trying to like make a one of one just to like flex as a chef, flex as a restaurateur, and like prove it to myself.
Yeah.
But that's where the creativity and the business savvy component comes in. Is that more creative or is that more business savvy?
It's feeding your ego.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Fair.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
I mean, you're feeding your ego. You're flexing. You're trying to prove something to yourself. I mean, if it's going to eat at you if you don't try that, then you have to.
Yeah.
Also, restaurants are successful.
Oh yeah, you'll make
money.
Like
Yes.
smart guy.
Yeah.
It's just like if you have a model that you think is.
It's going to be more of a headache, obviously.
it's
as you
definitely
know.
more of a headache.
But if it's fun for you and it's exciting, and then you could open up more like that.
I don't think what we're trying to do is going to be like a scalable thing,
Got
though.
it.
And that's where it comes down to like all of the thing, like the menu development, all of the things that you're saying. It's like, wait a second, sometimes people just want that bacon and cheese for $5.75.
I mean, look, the Bialy stand that we have, dude. We do.
We can bleep that one out.
Yeah, bleep it out if you want. Yeah. But like the Bialy stand that we have, man, we went into opening that stand hot off of all these pop-ups with these crazy.
And
Bialys.
also, it's like I think it's a business model that made sense to like potentially franchise or scale, and
it's
it's
the same thing.
It's gonna be like a pop-up almost, like the actual pop-up bagel guy.
I was working. Oh, yeah, we know him. I was working at Reading Terminal maybe 8 months ago, and this guy comes up and says, "You should franchise this." And I'm like, "If only you knew." Like,
But also, I think people don't know Bialys. I think there's a bigger educational piece.
educating-
you have to like call it like a Danish, like a bagel Danish or something.
Yeah.
Like you have to.
But even that,
Or does it still? We call it. We started
stuffed
saying like
bread.
we're stuffed bread. You know, like it's
Kismet
just
stuff rolls, stuff bread,
Yeah,
whatever. But it's
yeah.
like number one seller there is bacon, egg, and cheese. No matter what crazy special we put out, and every time the crazy special is the lowest seller of the day because people just want what the fuck they want. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be creative. Please, world, be creative. But you know,
but do the basics very well.
do the basics.
That's why the
really
best.
fucking
That's why there's
well.
pizzerias all over the country, all over the world, and the best still stand out because they focus on the basics of having the perfect dough, the best cheese, the best sauce, craftsmanship, the best ovens, all of
Really
that.
important.
You know, even crumble cookies scales like nothing else. They still have a chocolate chip there.
Absolutely.
So I know what you're saying. I know what you're insinuating.
What do you think about pop-up bagels?
I haven't tried them myself. I haven't tried them myself, but it's like, you know, props to him that he was able to create something that's like going back to the OGs of the world. Is definitely like,
it's different.
which is like just baking bagels and spreads. He obviously has a ton of funding behind him.
Yeah.
And we'll see if it's sustainable, but I don't know if that's like what he's going for. I think he's probably just scale and sell.
Yeah.
That's what seems like what he's trying to do.
Yeah, I think so,
And I don't
for
think
sure.
it's like, I don't think it's sustainable like in a suburban market.
That's what we talk about. I mean, the bagels were great. The cream cheese
And
were
Adam's
great.
great.
Yeah,
I like Adam a lot.
Yeah, I'm just curious if like you open up in Idaho or wherever, like if people are gonna want like a bagel dipped in cream
I also
cheese,
don't
you
know if that's the goal for them, though. I mean, they're appearing at all these like events in the Hamptons and all these high-end places. It's definitely like a high-end, like hyped up kind of thing, and it works really well in the communities that they're in. And it's exactly what we were doing before we opened shops. It's pop-up model. It's just pandemic bagel business.
We're never slicing it. We also said we're never slicing a bagel.
That's what's also crazy. There's so many businesses that open that started from the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's almost like the new 2008.
Yeah, it's
you know?
really,
Well, people had time on
amazing,
there.
Yeah, because I even the last week we talked to Map's Top Buns and they did cinnamon buns and they're just absolutely murdering it.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So in regards to if you could go back to telling yourself like when you first started, what advice would you give yourself?
I don't know if I would have any because I feel like everything that happened led us to where we are. I know that's cliche, but like I'm so glad that we went through all the struggles that we did. I think maybe the one thing that comes to mind from everything we were talking about is pay attention to your books earlier and don't just say yes to everybody. Like we rewarded a lot of employees with huge raises without any basis or knowledge of how to get there. And ultimately, it hurt not just us, but those employees because they came to rely on these salaries that we were giving them, but we couldn't afford it as a business.
Yeah.
So
We knew they were worth it, but
They were worth
it
it.
doesn't make sense for the business.
Yeah, I'd want to pay you more, but the business, there's the tree that is funding this is not
not
big
gonna
enough.
work.
I would say, to sum it up in one sentence, hire a bookkeeper, dude. I would have said that in 2021. I would have been like,
so true,
you're doing all these wholesale customers, you're doing farmers markets, you're going to open a shop, get a fucking bookkeeper, get your business in order, find out, like, basically do what we're doing now, which is like, now that we're not opening any new shops, we're constantly running spreadsheets, like, what is this going to look like? What's that going to look like? How can we make this better? How can we, trim something off there? How can we plan for healthcare or for our staff? Like, get all this stuff going in your mind as soon as you can. Be prepared, really understand your business. I think that was a big thing that we almost cost ourselves the whole business by not doing.
Yeah. But I'm so glad we had those experiences because
they're great.
Yeah, I probably could go without last year having to fire a bunch of people and
we didn't want
almost
to.
losing our entire business. But otherwise, I think all the sleepless nights and the nights we've had to throw away 5,000 bagels, like it was all worth it in the end to figure out how to get here.
Yeah. I feel like those are the learning experiences you have to, encounter. You have to go one step back, two steps forward. That's what the food business is, day in, day out.
And one of the biggest things is like, by not knowing and continuing to fall down and then forcing yourself back up, you really have to learn to think on your heels. And I know you can relate to this. Like, the more shit you go through like that, the less phased you are as things continue to come up. And it makes you a better, calm, centered business owner.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I've been through this. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
You just think and you just make things happen.
Yeah,
You're not panicking.
It's consistent problem solving and just thinking quick on your feet.
Yeah.
And then even in regards to dealing with adversity and all of that, I applaud both of you for being a couple and working together.
Oh, jeez.
Because if I was working with my wife, she would have killed me by now. And I wish I was kidding.
It's still fun.
Yeah. Like, no joke. There's no way.
I mean, there's been moments.
Yeah, of course. But
We still love each other.
Yeah, like
what is that like? What are the fundamentals? Like, how do you guys deal with that?
When we first started, it was
really, really bad.
really
when we
hard.
Started.
Yeah.
Because
it's hard to separate it.
Well, it's hard to separate
Still
it.
is, obviously, yeah.
You're coming together with potentially two different work styles. We have two incredibly different work styles, and that was really hard for me specifically. Like, I am such a obsessive worker and hustler, and I will not sleep for an entire night if I have to do something.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I was in New York when I was doing real estate. I was just running around like a madman. And Alex isn't like that, which is probably better for your health.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, I couldn't understand why she couldn't just match me, and it took some therapy and also soul searching to be like, okay, she's her own person, dude. That you can complement each other. And
I also really like to sleep,
Yeah. No, I appreciate the vulnerability in you saying all that, because I think even just mentioning therapy, I think that's very healthy. And and you need another unbiased opinion that doesn't know you both. And it's like, hey, how can we have this calm conversation of figuring this thing out?
I'll tell you right now, candidly, we were pregnant, about to open our first shop. I had so much stress on me, so much pressure. Because look, I was the main boots on the ground.
Of course.
And we were sitting in a meeting with our accountant at the time. I'm sure Alex remembers this. And we were in the middle of the meeting, and I was having a panic attack. And she texted me, and she was like, "Are you okay?" She could tell. And I didn't think anybody knew. And after that meeting, she was like, "I'm really worried about you. We're going to have a kid. We're opening a shop. You need to do something." I went on Lexapro. I'm still on it today. It's 2 years later, and you know what? I'm on the most minor dose, but it helped even me out because I have.
You were having you were having panic attacks.
I ended up
you were having a heart attack.
A couple weeks later, we were at a dinner, and I swore I was having a heart attack. And my dad and her got in the car with me. I was screaming, and my whole body was tensing up. And we got to the ER, and I swear, out of a movie, I fell out of the car to my knees and was screaming help, and I was convinced I was dying, and it was a panic attack, and they put Ativan in me, and I calmed down, but I needed help, and it's so hard to admit that, but it helped our relationship, helped me as an owner, businessman, and that's just really, really important to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what you were saying about
you were nonstop working. For
different work styles. Clearly, my work style, although it got us to where we are, because I push. I almost lost my mind.
Yeah, you almost killed yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember going backwards a year earlier. We were debuting at one of the Bruno shops in the suburbs, and it was during the period where I really was sleeping 2 hours a night. It was insane. And I remember she was talking to a potential customer. We were sampling our food, and I whispered in her ear, I said, I think I'm going to have a heart attack. I have to go in the car.
Yeah.
I was like, you're going to have to take me to the hospital. Like, she didn't. I was okay. I went to sleep. But, like, just not okay. And, you know.
Starting a business is absolutely insane, especially a food business and bagel business because of the hours, obviously.
You know, look, not to toot our own horn, but we had unbelievable height and insanely quick growth. Yeah. And
it's overwhelming.
We had no,
and also, it's because you care, man.
Yeah.
You know, you want, like, you're in the business with your wife, she's pregnant, and you're taking on, regardless of being sexist or not, those gender roles of being like, hey, I'm the man of the household. I want to win. I want to make sure that I'm doing what I can to help the team grow and progress and all of that.
Yeah. Well, and also, look, I mean, this is very personal, but it really drives me. Like, I grew up in a family where multiple people had a decent amount of money. I'm not super rich, but they were well off. Yeah. And they lost everything. And they didn't save for, you know, their older years. And it haunts me to this day.
My
we actually
parents,
share that.
Grandparents, same thing. And they both overcame them, and, you know, now we're...
Yeah, but you're trying to, like, how do I prevent that from happening?
My grandfather died so broke, and he was the fucking man when I was a kid. Him and my grandma were traveling to Europe all the time. They had fancy cars and blah, 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 blah. And they lost everything. And since I got out of college, or even out of high school, it's been like, how do I prevent that? And so when we started this business and I saw the potential, it was like, I got to give this everything, and I have to accelerate it so that we can build a career for ourselves. And so that really pushed me during those first couple years. Like, I'm doing whatever it takes. I don't care if I don't sleep. And, you know, it's to my detriment. But, you know, thankfully,
got us here.
Thankfully, I'm okay. I definitely have some more gray hairs. But, you know.
At least you got thick hair, bro. I lost mine, man.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, work styles, it's very important to, I think, like, I wish that, another thing I would have told myself is sit down with Alex and have, like, long discussions about who you are as workers and what you want out of this. And
figuring out our roles early on.
Have meeting of the minds, develop roles. You know, we don't do any of that.
Yeah,
I was actually going to ask that. Is there now roles and responsibilities that you've divided amongst yourselves, or
still working on that? Yeah, but Jake definitely handles the more the day-to-day operation. Yeah, like staff communications and all that.
Not as much as we'd like, but we're working on it. You know, this is the first time in 4 years having this business that we don't have a project. We're not building.
Which is honestly a reset, though, which is great.
It's so good.
It's like,
it's great.
Yes, we can breathe.
Let's, like, reset. Thankfully, we're not, like, you're going in the right direction. It's cash flow positive.
Yep.
It's being like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, Stephen, what's amazing is I'm sorry.
No, we just wrote this out actually yesterday.
Yeah, we had big
finally some goals of the next
but like, we're working with Erica, our director of operations, and we're really strengthening our infrastructure. Like, okay, we've never had a structure on how to give people raises. We've never had a proper training guide for managers, because a lot of people get promoted to manager and they've never even managed a place before. And we've thrown people in left and right without training, and then we're so busy that we're not standing there holding their hands, so they're figuring it out at a shop that could be doing 12,000 bagels a week. And it's like, God bless them, but that's really hard. You're managing 6 people, you're managing crowds, you're managing a shop, inventory, scheduling, ordering, emotions. Yeah. So we're just trying to take this time not only to take a breather and appreciate what we have, but also strengthen our core and give more resources to our team, which ultimately makes the business healthier.
Yeah.
The SOPs are extremely crucial.
Yeah, SOPs.
It's the
mousy ass.
Yeah, it's like the most like annoying, nerdy shit you have to do. But like, really, good for you, man. It took me a while to.
I don't make them, but I appreciate them.
Yeah, I had to do that. I feel like after COVID, that was give me a time to like restructure everything, and that helped us dramatically, man. Because I feel like the way that I go about it is having every Friday having a meeting with my managers, and then now it's gone to the point is in the beginning creating those SOPs is what problems are happening, and then not solving them, meaning like a Band-Aid. It's like how to prevent this from happening again.
Yeah.
So for example, it's like, hey, Steve, they'll call me on a Wednesday. The fridge got our fridge is busted. It's like, okay, go on the Google. It's like, instead of me sending them the contact, I have a Google Drive of
maintenance people,
all the maintenance people for each category, or like a Google Drive of all of our contacts with everything, our vendors, whatever it may be. So how do I solve the problem so they can solve it amongst themselves? So I'm not getting any. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of what that's helped us, and the opening sheets, closing sheets, inventory.
When we opened our first shop, I was still doing all the ordering.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I doing the ordering?
Yes.
It's in the shop.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
That's another thing to creating self-efficiencies is crucial, is looking at your day-to-day, finding out what tasks that you are doing and what can be, and then creating that role around those tasks.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we
And then all of a sudden, next
And
thing you
letting
know,
go.
we
Yes.
delegated so much.
and then
It made
freeing
it
up the time. So then all of a sudden you're like, what do I have to do now? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, your job is to grow.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Let me figure out what fills up the time to get to the
Help
next
everybody
step.
make more money.
Yes.
Help everybody have a better job.
Do you still get called in to like help at the shops at all ever, or?
Thankfully, no.
Yeah.
No, not at all, really. But that took me.
rarely do.
That took me a long time though to get to that point.
Yeah.
Now that's why, like right now, I'm in a weird position. That's why I was like saying that, like.
Why
You're
you're
like,
doing this.
like, you want to?
Yeah, that's why I'm doing this and trying to find myself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, do I continue? I've rejected opening up so many bagel stores already.
Yeah.
And now it's gone to the point, it's like, am I an idiot or am I smart? You know, it's like,
What do you want?
that's what it really is.
What's your end goal with all
I don't know. I think my end goal is to make a legitimate impact on the food and beverage game, you know, and just be a part of the community and like being a part of that, the outlier, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't know what that is. And I feel like I have this chip on the shoulder with Bagel, and it's like, I don't know if I want to continue opening up more Bagels. I don't know if that fills my cup.
Yeah.
You know?
Probably also because you didn't come up with that name.
Yeah.
You know,
You
even
didn't
though
come
you've
up with
done
it,
you
yeah.
were telling me earlier,
Yeah.
like the recipe's different and all that, but it's not the name you came
Yeah,
up with.
there's
It's not-
no matter what I change, whatever I do, and all of
It's
that,
his.
it's still his, you know, and it's not mine. So I have to think to myself: do I want to open up something else that can scale? Do I open up something else that's one of one, that could be a foundational piece as potential of a restaurant group? Then I'm just like in Jersey, and I don't have to like go. I don't want to travel to Vegas and
Yeah.
Miami and all those.
Yeah.
You know.
We're not sure. We've talked about it.
I think we
yeah,
bought
I
that,
think
but
we
You
did.
know,
Yes,
like I don't
yeah,
know if
yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
kind of what I want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
You know, I've rejected
It's important
that.
to
a
look
few
at
times.
that, you know? Like, I feel like for so long you're just kind of heads down, just doing the thing, and then it's like, what do you want?
Yeah, you gotta
know?
look inside
what are your
yourself and be
goals?
like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so that's why I like
want
think I want to do that next thing and seeing that, but
Yeah.
time will tell, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard because right now I obviously have the two kids, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like money's not everything, but I want to make sure that they're set up for success.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
You know, I want that pool. I want all of that.
Yeah.
Look, we're not in this just out of the goodness of our heart. It is
Yeah.
a business.
Yeah.
And I think that's a misconception with a lot of people these days. It's like, oh, you think I should have started this business just to like make the same as what someone making a sandwich is?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the ones that
Like,
took the
I
risk
deserve it.
Yes.
to make this
Our
happen.
blood,
Yeah.
sweat, and tears and
We
money.
want everyone to get paid and do well and have a livable, like,
Of course.
The reason that you start a business.
I think it's the key thing too, is just to reach my fullest potential, and I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
yet. So we'll see what happens.
That's cool, though.
What's the one thing people would be shocked to learn about running a bagel business?
I need to think about that.
shocked about learning.
One thing to be shocked about running a bagel business. How much time it takes to make one bagel that you eat in 1 minute.
So fucking true.
I mean, we do long fermentation, so our bagels are typically between 48 and 72 hours.
Whoa. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's big time, man. That's a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
So we will occasionally do a 24-hour dough, but not often. Mm-hmm. And so that means somebody is mixing 2 bags of dough, which is about 100 pounds of flour plus all the other ingredients. Then they're feeding it through the bagel machine. Then they're putting it on boards. Then they're putting it into the fridge for the retard. And then that's 2 to 3 days of just sitting in the fridge. And then it gets pulled out at midnight and boiled and seasoned and baked and cooled and bagged, loaded into the van, unloaded into the shop, put into a basket. And then someone orders it, and it probably gets sliced and toasted and covered and wrapped, and then you unwrap it and eat it, and it's gone in a minute. And all that fucking work went into that.
And it's $1.50, right?
true.
Or like $2.
$2.25.
$2.25. Okay,
$2.25,
makes
yeah.
sense why.
Yeah.
But like,
You need a serious refrigeration for that.
we have I used to live in a studio apartment in New York with my girlfriend, and I always say that this walk-in is bigger than that.
Oh, I bet.
Like, it's basically a New York apartment. It's crazy. I mean, we make like 22,000 bagels a week, and it can fit probably 16 or 17,000 bagels in the fridge at one time.
Whoa.
Because on Saturday,
How many
morning,
racks?
34, 35.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of, that's a fridge. It's
Yeah.
huge.
It's big.
Yeah.
But we
We got that obviously when we were doing wholesale too.
Yeah.
Now,
Even then-
now it's maxed out.
It's really funny. Actually, we bought that fridge in early 2021, and we were laughing like, we'll never fill this. And by May of that year, we booked all these farmers markets, all this wholesale. It was full on a Saturday.
That's awesome, man.
And on Saturdays to this day, we bake like 8,500 bagels in the morning. So that's why by the weekend it's so full. On a Monday or Tuesday, there's plenty of room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's, I think, the biggest surprise to people. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, most people don't know that bagels are boiled first. Most people don't know that.
Yeah.
And
Maybe your Philly people don't know.
well, yeah, New York. Well, New York, they go, it's in the water. But Philly, people don't.
Which is not in the water. I will say, even though I'm in Hoboken,
I love that.
it's not in the water.
For fucking saying
It's not in the water. It's the process, and that's what it is. And I'm big on that.
Yeah.
I've proven that. I've done consulting gigs in Vegas.
Nice, yeah.
All it is it's the
process.
It's the process, but also it's the hydration point.
Yeah. Yes.
It could be different depending on your humidity factors with what area of the country you are. But yes, my Hoboken water is not different than maybe in Philly or some other parts of Jersey or New York City.
Make it known.
It's known. I'm saying it right now. It's not the water.
I went to school at ASU in Arizona, and there was a place, Chompies, and they would literally say, like, we brought the water in.
Which is such a joke.
If you actually did that is
It's the perfect. It's the perfect marketing play for the old school New York City guys.
I hate it so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet. Because you guys probably get it a lot with that.
the time.
Thankfully, I don't get it at all.
Right,
We used to do the farmers markets ourselves. We have a lot of hosts now, but I remember we were at Head House. We were at this one in Philly, and this guy walks up and he's like, "These will never be New York bagels." I'm like, "Hello? Hi?" He's like, "I'm just saying, like, you can make bagels, but you'll never be New York." I'm like, first of all, you don't know me. Second of all, who the fuck do you think you are? And third of all, it's just bagels.
You know what's funny? It's like sometimes those people, like, you remember those guys more than all the other compliments you get. It fuels you.
We talk about this all the time.
You know, there could be 100 people getting beautiful compliments. Same thing with, like, we're serving, like, say 1,000. We get 1,000 transactions on a Sunday. There could be one negative Yelp review, and I'm like, I don't. You get one person to make a complaint that's yelping. 999 aren't saying anything.
Yeah.
Because they're just coming back and they had a good positive experience.
Yeah.
And I used to lose sleep over that. Now it's like, screw that.
I've tried to stop looking at them because, literally, especially
really
comments.
ignorant,
If someone tags us in a photo, I'll, like, look.
And I'm all for an email. Shoot me an email.
Tell me what was wrong.
Yeah, what's going on? I would love an email. Or like, hey, if you had a negative experience, we can work on it. Shoot me an email and I'll call you. Put your number in there. I appreciate that.
People are like, I've been to this place 1,000,000 times. It's been so great, and I had a horrible experience, so I'm writing it here. Where was your positive reviews the 1,000,000 other times that you came to a place? It's wild.
No, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I used to reply to every single review.
He's banned. He's banned from it.
I used to
Why? Because you get so like hot about it.
He would give it to them.
Yeah, you get passive aggressive with it.
You know,
yeah. Thanks, John.
He's aggressive.
Thanks, buddy. Let me tell you why you're. No, here's the God's honest truth that I think it's really important to talk about, honestly. So I'm glad we're talking about it. Like, I think with the invention of the internet and reviews on Google or Yelp, I think it's so fucking easy for people to sit there and just spew hate. And it's one thing if you don't like a product, that's fine. I don't care. I don't expect everyone to like it. But what people don't realize, and I know you feel this too, is the people on this side, this is our fucking business and our livelihood. And unfortunately, a lot of people out there, the only way they decide to go to a place is based on reviews online. They don't necessarily want to think about it more than that. So if this person writes this stupid review that doesn't even make sense or properly represent what the experience is, and this new person reads that as the first review, they might not come.
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm like,
It's really
hey,
tough.
maybe can you think about what comes out of your mouth or your fingers before you put that on there? Because you're actually affecting a small business with people who have a family. And I wish you could send an email and just reach out, because I will happily talk to you.
Yeah.
Maybe even give you a refund if it was that bad of an experience. Like, no problem. But just don't go
It's
on
very
and just like
cowardly,
spew
you know?
hate. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not like a big Lady Gaga fan, but one time I saw her talking on TV. She's like the Instagram and the comments and all that. It's the toilet of the internet, and it really is. It's like, guys, really, you really had to do that. You had to write that.
Yeah, does it make you feel better?
Yeah, I think it does. Because people are angry.
Yeah, but it's actually truly impacting their business.
You're literally affecting someone's business.
But if ever we go out to eat and something's like weird, I always tell somebody. I feel like people feel like embarrassed or nervous to get a manager. It's like, no, I'd way rather you do that.
Yeah, because we want to be happy.
Something's wrong, and then I can fix it. You know, then I'll know in the future that we can fix this instead of just getting a fucking shitty review online. It just it doesn't help at all.
Somebody emailed us yesterday.
Yeah.
They said they didn't have a good experience with the bagels. I said, no problem. Thanks for emailing. Come in tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm CCing the manager. He'll give you an exchange or a refund.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Easy. Like, just let's like talk to each other.
Yes. Let's come to a solution here.
Yeah. Like, why can't we just do that? That's such an easy experience.
And now we leave so many reviews for people online, like
I leave them all the
positively,
time.
yeah, because it's so effective.
No, that's true.
And everyone works so hard.
We didn't do it for a while, and we're like, it means so much to us, and we get a positive review, so now we try and do that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I could talk to you guys for days.
Nice, yeah.
And I appreciate you guys coming and doing this trip over here, and I really appreciate it. So, like, this tradition that we have at the end of the podcast is doing a rapid-fire questions happy hour.
Oh, cool.
Love it.
So we'll start it off with favorite bagel.
Everything bagel with cream cheese, cucumbers, and bacon.
Plain butter, salt.
I love that. Favorite snack.
Popcorn and french fries.
Oh, God.
Rapid fire, baby. Come on.
First thing comes to your mind.
Dark pretzels and hummus.
Oh, not together.
Wow.
No, together.
Oh,
Dark
yeah.
pretzels and hummus.
sounds like the new spread at Kismet. That which might not do.
I won't sell one. It'll be fun. I'll eat it all in the back in secrecy.
Yeah.
We'll call it the Outliers Podcast spread. They'll be there for one half of a day. Favorite season, like of the year.
Oh, that's a nice one. Fall and spring.
Used to be summer. It's too hot now. I think
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah.
Those are like bagel seasons too,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Besides your own, we already said this, but besides your own bagel brands, who inspires you the most?
Zach the Baker, Florida.
I would say Courage Bagels.
When you cook, what music are you listening to?
Bon Iver.
Ooh, Bon Iver. Let's think. Quick. I've been listening to Jungle a lot. I don't know if you know them. They're fun.
If you're not eating at Kismet, where are you going on your off day?
The fuck do we eat?
Homeroom in Gladwin.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, classic Caesar salad from Homeroom.
Love that. What's your last meal?
Chicken parm.
Popcorn.
Dinner with 3 people, dead or alive. Who are they?
Freddie Mercury.
He's thought about this one a lot.
No, I haven't. I just love him. John Bonham, drummer of Led Zeppelin. And those are my top 2. Jimi Hendrix.
Ooh, nice. Bob Marley. Picasso. And I can't think of anyone else. Who else do I like?
Bob Ross.
Bob Ross. Fuck yeah.
You guys are just getting high and jamming out on your dinner.
Bob Ross. Yes.
sounds
I love
great.
that. That sounds like a good time. Wow.
Sounds like a great time.
Lastly, what's the most impactful advice you've ever been given?
Wow. I don't know how well it hit me at the time, but I didn't have a great relationship with my dad's father, my paternal grandfather, but he was on his deathbed and I was in England on tour. And I managed to get him on the phone just to like say goodbye. And he was like coughing and barely could talk, but I had just broken up an engagement. I was about to get married. And he said, just remember in life, don't try and plan everything, just feel it.
Damn.
So true. Then you embody that.
Yeah.
I love that,
awesome.
dude.
Which is funny because he was a planner, but maybe he was hoping he hadn't planned.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's cool.
Beat that.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Jeez, yeah, I mean, come on. Honestly, I've tried to think of like things that people tell me, and something that I think about all the time is what my grandma always says to me, and it's said to me since I was a kid. She always says, she's like, you're always so beautiful on the outside, and she's like, but it's even more important to be beautiful on the inside. And I really feel like I try and live that every single day of just being a good human.
I could say from just meeting you, you both have such genuine spirits, great energy, and I admire you guys from afar. And I really appreciate you guys coming here and coming to Hoboken. And you guys are truly making an impact in the bagel game. So props to you.
You too.
I know how hard it is, and that's why I admire when other people are like being vulnerable and going out and trying it. Bialys, luncheonettes, wholesale, different spreads, and I'm busting your chops about the spreads, but like I love that, man, and props for real.
thank you. I mean, it's really corny and cliche. I say this. I say it every time because
It's so true.
the Nike slogan is so fucking good because it's so dumb, but it just do it. Like,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people we meet and they're just like, well, how did you do this and how did you know? I'm like, dude, if you have
fucking
something
do it.
you want to try, and it's honestly, it's the same as the Bronx thing you were talking about. If you really really want to try something, it's eating at you, just do it.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? You can say you tried something, but you know you tried. I mean, for me, to this day, the one thing that still bothers me that I'm actually working on now for the first time in 4 years is I never put out the record that I wanted to put out. Mm-hmm. And it eats at me because I'm like, I know I'm a good songwriter. I used to play with top-level musicians who have won Grammys. Like, I know good music. Mm-hmm. And it eats at me. And so right now, even in the midst of everything that I'm doing, I'm making a record.
Hell yeah, dude. I love that.
And, like, look, I know a lot of people. I have no idea if it'll go anywhere. But I need to know that I fucking did it.
It will, man.
I hope so. But it's like the same with anything. You have a love for making custom T-shirts. Make a little website or an Instagram. What's the worst that can happen? Just
I love what that girl from your podcast, Pliables, said. And we talk about that all the time, is if, like, it doesn't work, like, I didn't have anything before. It's like, I have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You know?
Same with us.
Yeah, it's so true. We could have just gone back to regular jobs and everything would have been fine, you know? We'll figure it out. But let's just try it.
As long as you're a resourceful human.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.